Hello and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk. It is Saturday, June 10, 2023. I am Daniel Blake. Thank you so much for joining me. Sports Talk is brought to you today by Jamaica Customs Agency, country above self. In today's show, we have a lot to get through. It will be football based because the Jamaica Premier League final takes place tomorrow after a good long season. It comes to a close on Sunday at 7 p.m. at Sabina Park, where Cavalier will play Mount Pleasant Academy after the 1:15 break. We will preview that. Also, Lionel Messi, World Cup winner, Argentine superstar, deciding to go just up the road from Jamaica. That's right, he will be playing for Inter Miami in Major League Soccer in America. So we will talk about his move, how it impacts, American football and even the region and the world, being one of the superstars of world football and sports in general. So that is to come after the 1:30 break. And after the 1:45 break, Portuguese football giants Benfica, many time champions there, they will be hosting a football camp right here in Jamaica in July. So you will hear more details about that after the 1:45 break. So also reminding you that, as usual, you can listen and watch the show in several different ways. If you are on Facebook and YouTube right now on Love FM Jamaica's pages. Thank you so much for joining me. However, if you prefer to listen, you can go download the Love FM app in the Google Play or Apple Store, depending on what smart device you have. You can also go in your internet browser, love101.org, listen live there, or you can turn on your radio if you're in Jamaica and go to the FM band 101.1 all the way to 101.9, depending on where you are in the country. Also reminding you that you can leave your comments in YouTube and Facebook, and I will ensure to read those on air. Already seeing Petrona Wiggins, Pauline, and Deloni wishing good afternoon. So good afternoon to you and good afternoon to everyone who is tuned in. So before I get into my monologue, which might be a little interesting today, we start with the sports bits, which is a mini sports report. So let's start with track and field. Many-time national champion Natoya Gould was the best-placed Jamaican at the Paris Diamond League on Friday. She ran a season's best 1 minute 58.23 seconds for third in the women's 800 meters, which was won by Britain's Keely Hodgkinson. Candice McLeod ran a season's best 50.80 seconds, but was sixth in the women's 400 meters as Marilady Paulinho took the event in a meet record 49.12 seconds. Johan Blake clocked 10.16 in the men's 100 meters for fourth, which was won by American Noah Lyles in 9.97 seconds, and Daniel Thomas Dodd's effort of 19.25 meters was only good enough for fourth in the women's shot put. The standout moment of the meet was Kenya's Faith Kipyegon breaking the 5,000 meter record just a week after breaking the 1,500 meter record, and we are still in the early part of June, so Kipyegon is going to do some great things, especially when the World Championships comes around. Now, Jamaicans Jadon Hibbert, Kerry McLeod, Romaine Beckford, and Akeelia Smith dominated the jumps at the NCAA Division I Outdoor Track and Field Championships in Austin, Texas. Hibbert won the men's triple jump with his first leap of 17.56 meters. McLeod registered a season's best 8.26 meters on his first attempt to complete the collegiate double after winning the indoor title earlier this year. And his Jamaican teammates Wayne Pinnock and Jordan Taylor finished second and third respectively in the event. And Beckford won the men's high jump in a personal best of 2.27 meters. And on the women's side, former Edwin Allen Star Smith was crowned the long jump champion with a leap of 6.88 meters. So our Jamaican stars doing very well at the collegiate level. Now, the West Indies completed a 3-0 series sweep over the United Arab Emirates on Friday as they completed their preparation for the World Cup qualifiers. Batting first, UAE were bowled out for 184 inside 37 overs, with Kevin Sinclair leading the bowlers with 4 for 24. In reply, the Caribbean side cruised to their target with almost 15 overs to spare, as left-hander Ali Athanaze top scored with 65, and he also equaled the record for the fastest half-century on ODI debut, as he got to the 50 in just 26 balls. The West Indies will now head to Zimbabwe as they seek to qualify for the ODI World Cup in India later this year. And Novak Djokovic is one win away from a record 23rd men's major title after moving into the French Open final by beating Carlos Alcaraz in a contest ruined by cramps for the Spaniard. With an enthralling match poised at 1 set each, Alcaraz pulled up early in the third with the cramps issue and was twice carried away for treatment, but Serbia's Djokovic took full advantage to run away 6-3, 5-7, 6-1, 6-1. Djokovic will face Casper Ruud, who beat Alexander Zverev on Sunday. And earlier today, Iga Swiatek was crowned champion for the third time in 4 years as she beat Karolina Muchova 6-2, 5-7, 6-4. Swiatek, who has now won 4 Grand Slams, is the first woman to defend the title since Justine Henin back in 2007. And finally, the Denver Nuggets are one win away from their first ever NBA title after beating the Miami Heat 108-95 in Game 4 on Friday to take a 3-1 series lead. Nikola Jokic, Bruce Brown, and Aaron Gordon all scored over 20 points, with Jamal Murray supporting with 15 points and 12 assists. Game 5 takes place on Monday, with only one team in the history of the NBA coming back from a 3-1 final deficit, and that was back in 2016 with the great LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love. So the Denver Nuggets in pole position to win their first NBA title. So that was the sports bits, and it's now time for my weekly monologue, the Danielog. All right, so last week was the Racers event at the National Stadium. It wasn't a packed stadium, but there were some great performances, including from Noah Lyles, and the video that went viral with Bolt and Lyles, hugging and talking, and Bolt encouraging him, saying, he's needed for the sport, his personality, and that was great to see. Despite the conditions and everything, it was a fairly decent event. But speaking of Bolt, he did an interview where he said that he was desperate for a role in track and field. And I want to just read some of the quotes that he said. He said, I spend my time doing a lot of family things when it comes to track and field, though not as much as I would want to, but I still try and stay in touch with what's going on. I'm still waiting on a position from World Athletics. I've reached out to them and let them know I would love to make a bigger impact in sports as long as they want me to. We've been in talks, but we'll have to wait and see what comes around. Now, remember a few years ago when Digicel, because Bolt is a digital ambassador, Digicel named Bolt a chief speed officer. Now, what does that mean? I couldn't tell you. Neither could you. But Digicel understood the value of Bolt, that they were saying, hey, why not just make up this fake position? Because you don't really need a chief speed officer in telecommunications, especially when you don't really know what it does. I could be wrong, but Digicel understood the value of Bolt, and still to this day, Bolt still makes their posters, ads, everything like that, right? So can you imagine Usain Bolt, who it's to me it's not a debate, is track and field's biggest star ever. Remember when he was retiring and everybody was saying, what is the sport going to do without Bolt because of just his personality, his tenacity, but also his performances on the track. World record in the 100, 200, 4x1, his absolute dominance in the sport. And people were basically crying, telling him, "Hey, don't leave. You're still young. You can still compete." So Bolt retired in 2017. We are now in 2023. So that's what, 6 years. You're telling me that World Athletics have yet to find a position for Bolt? I get to an extent that you want to ensure that he gets the right position because you don't want to just give him a position for giving him a position's sake. But it's been 6 years. So it means that you've had time to think about it. You could have come up with a position and say you are an official World Athletics ambassador. So every World Championship event, every youth event that we have, you are going to be our promoter. Or, just find something, literally, just find something because this is Usain Bolt. Can you imagine Usain Bolt literally saying that he wants to be involved with World Athletics, and World Athletics still in talks? Like, come on. Like, I mean, anywhere Bolt goes, he's known. His marketability around the world is major. And World Athletics, who have, been struggling for years trying to, revamp a lot of their events, the World Championships themselves, the Diamond League, the everything. They've been really trying because they've been saying, look, the viewership is down, less people are interested in the sport. And you have Usain Bolt just sitting there saying, hey, I want to be involved, and Uno couldn't find a position for him. So, Lord Coe and everybody on the World Athletics board and team, my advice to you would be to find a position like ASAP. Like the next board meeting, just go inside and say, all right, Bolt wants a position, let's find something. It don't even matter what we call him, but let's get him a position because he can truly help us. If it was anybody else, I'd be like, but this is Usain Bolt. 6 years and still no position. That's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. If Bolt was begging me for a position here on Sports Talk, trust me, Bolt would be in his chair right now. He'd be the host, producer, everything, and I'd be like, hey, what you want? Okay, cool. By the way, Bolt, if you're watching this or anybody who knows you saying is watching this, you're free to come here anytime, any single time. Would love to have that conversation with you, Yassine. So huge fan. So let's see if that will ever happen. So that is my monologue for this week. Hope that you agree, and if not, I understand. We all have differing opinions. We head into a break, and when we come back, we'll be previewing the Jamaica Premier League final on Sunday between Cavalier and Mount Pleasant.
Stay fully connected with Flow Yard and Road, the home internet and mobile plan to keep up with your life. Sign up today and get fiber fast internet at home and unlimited YouTube, social, talk and text on your mobile for just $4,999 plus GCT. And get a Samsung tablet or phone now for only $499 plus GCT. Flow Yard and Road. Stay fully connected. Visit the Flow store to sign up today. Conditions apply.
Rise with the sun and face the day with some Lasco instant chocolate. Pull a pack. Stir it up. Hot or cold, enjoy the chocolatey goodness any time of the day and unleash instant smiles, instant happiness.
Welcome back to Sports Talk here on Love 101, the family station. As I mentioned, the Jamaica Premier League comes to an end on Sunday, and it is between Cavalier and Mount Pleasant. They battle for the national honors. Arguably two of the best teams in the nation, so it should be a great contest. To preview the final, I have with me I call her the latte boss herself, the founder of the sports latte and sports presenter, Janae Robinson. Janae, good afternoon.
Hi, Daniel. So happy to be back on the Sports Talk.
Hey, you're always welcome here anytime. So let's start with just as this season on a whole, because you have basically been to almost every match. Well, that can't be true, but you have been.
Kind of.
Well, yeah, sure. You have seen the season from the very start to the end on Sunday. How would you assess the season compared to seasons of old where people have had criticism in terms of style of play, support from fans, those type of things?
Well, I think in the last 2 years, the Professional Football Jamaica Limited has done a very good job in the production of the event. I think it's not just about sports now, it's sports and entertainment, and it's bringing people from all aspects of life. So we have artists at the event, you have people like the big shots, in the comfort stands at Savannah Park. It's just a bigger deal now. I think for the footballers themselves, I think they are taking football a lot more serious now because they're recognizing the amount of attention it's getting. Whether it's, if we look at the amount of people who matriculate to the next level by getting contracts to go abroad, or just by people improving their performances every year, so the football is a lot more competitive. I think that they've done a good job in terms of the growth. If I'm supposed to compare last year to this year, 10 times more competitive. To get into the playoffs, the points were literally, you don't want to lose a game because those 3 points really matter, and that was for all 6 teams, whether you wanted to make top 2 or just in the top 6 to get into that playoff spot. It was just a lot more competitive this year, which to me made the competition a lot more enticing. So were the quarterfinals. If we look at an example in Harborview playing Humberland, they had the advantage going into the second leg of the quarterfinals, and Humberland came back, scored 3 goals, which was like, how did you allow them to do that? You guys have the advantage, and then them having to do more work. That's the type of football I think Jamaicans want to see, where you're on the edge of your seat, anticipating, waiting. And I know for a fact that Mount Pleasant beating Arnett Gardens, who topped the league, like they were in a class of their own. I don't know what happened. I just think it just wasn't their day of football to me. I don't think that discredits the amount of talent Arnett Garden has, but I think Mount Pleasant really wanted it. It's their first time making it to a Jamaica Premier League final, and I think they're going to make the most of it. But on the other hand, if we look at Cavalier, last year Cavalier missed the finals by a slim chance. It was penalties, and when it comes down to penalties, it's anybody's game. So Cavalier playing Harborview, getting the best of the defending champions after they were the 2021 champions. that just means a lot more to them, and just the whole controversy going around them. They have a point to prove. So those storylines behind the two teams coming together to play in this final, I think if you never plan to go, you should go because it's going to be interesting. And I think for me personally, my prediction was a Arne Tabavik final, right? I won't explain why, but it just was. But if you wanted that final, you still are going to get that matchup because they have the third place player. So it's kind of best of both worlds in terms of Jamaican football, and I'm just excited.
Yeah, let's break down the teams a little bit because, as you mentioned, Cavalier, um, having that issue recently with Sabina Park at Link Cup and um, over the last few days being not showing up for the press conference and a whole lot of rumors circling around, but in terms of making the final, how impressed have you been with them, especially knowing that they lost arguably two of their best players, Richard King and Dwayne Atkinson, at a crucial stage of the season?
I have to be careful how I speak about this. I think Cavalier is a team, and why I make that statement is because they work together. So, respective of Richard King and Dwayne Atkinson being there, they are a family. And Rudolph Speed has a very good way of making the little things work, right? So you probably aren't looking at a 14-year-old footballer on Cavalier and thinking that he's going to make an impact when Speed has him in his backpack waiting to unleash him. Cavalier is a team that they know when to show up, right? And they show up good. And also there's a pattern of performances that they've had this season where they take their chances all the time. So you don't want to give them any space to slip up because they're going to take the chance and they're going to run with it, and they use that momentum to fuel their performance. So I think that if I was Mount Pleasant, I would watch out for that. Make sure your defense line is strong, because if you give Colin Anderson with the speed that he has, it's not just he was a track athlete before, right? You see that man running up and down the field, you think he's doing NFL, like he's fast, right? So those little things, and Ronaldo Webster on the other end, who we've seen from high school, his performances and how well he can perform, them working together. And funny enough, even though Dwayne Atkinson isn't there still is that chemistry between Colin and Ronaldo Webster. So it's not like a new thing to them. So if they get their plan down pat and they go out there and perform, Cavalier will be a dangerous team for Mount Pleasant.
And speaking of Mount Pleasant, they started the season very well. Had a few hiccups here and there, but they've made it to the final. In the past, they've made some investments and they haven't gotten to this stage. What does that say about Theodore Whitmore's impact on the team?
I don't think it's only Theodore Whitmore. I think it's Theodore Whitmore and his team. Davian Ferguson, the Masoud, just that team that they've created together. I think that they took the time to sit down and make sure that this plan worked for them to reach to the final. So I don't think it's just a one-man job. I think as well, Trevante Stewart and Atafarai Bygrave in their lineup kind of helped, Mount Pleasant to get to this stage, having those two staple guys that they could, channel the ball to and, get the goals out of them.
Yeah, you predicted an Arnett Harborview final. Not very far off, as you mentioned, because they do play in that third place playoff. But now that these two teams, Cavalier and Mount Pleasant, looking to win, give me your prediction. Who do you think has the advantage on Sunday evening?
I knew you were going to ask me this question before I came on the show, and I've been thinking about it since. From my analysis previously, right? If you give Cavalier the chances, they're going to take it. But I feel like something inside of me is saying that Mount Pleasant is gonna be a spoiler for, you know, all of those Cavalier supporters. I don't know why. I just feel like they're gonna come with their A game. They're gonna show up and show out because I think they genuinely want it. It's their first time in the finals. I'm not saying that Cavalier doesn't. I just think that there's a little bit more hunger from Mount Pleasant considering what it took them to get to this stage. You know, similarly to last year when Harborview made it to the playoffs by this, they got an instinct of we need to do what we need to do to want to win this. So that kind of mentality, I think that's what Mount Pleasant has, which makes them have a little bit of edge over Cavalier. So I would go with Mount Pleasant. I would go with Mount Pleasant. I don't know. I feel like the Cavalier supporters like Tiffany are gonna come for me. But it's gonna be a sticky game. But I think Mount Pleasant will win.
Yeah, gonna be quite an interesting final. Another award that will be handed out after the final will be that Golden Boot, because it's literally going down to that very last second. Colin Anderson with 19 goals, Trevante Stewart with 18 goals, probably one of the best Golden Boot races we've had in a long while. Yeah, you've mentioned, yeah, or ever. You've mentioned briefly some of their attributes so far this season, but how impressed have you been with some of their performances? Because sometimes it looks like they've carried the team on their backs.
For Trevante Stewart, per se, I like how he scores goals because they just look nice. I don't know how to explain that in depth.
No, we understand.
They just look like goals. Colin, I don't think he cares how he scores a goal. That man will buck, he will dive, he will flip over. It's interesting to see that he has that much goals, but he takes his chances. It's a tight race. Who I think will win? Probably Trevante, especially if I say Mount Pleasant is going to win. And I think so because Trevante in the right place at the right time, getting that edge over Colin, probably. I don't know. I feel like they're going to come for me. Probably.
So you're guaranteeing that Trevante scores at least a brace on Sunday?
At least two. At least 2 goals. I think Colin will score, yes. But I think Trevante will score at least 2 goals. I think he has it in him.
Oh, well, we're going to wait and see because it's really going to be a great match. Finally, before we go, I have to plug you because the Sports Latte has had some great guests on the JPL show. Tell everybody how that has gone this season and how they can still watch to this point.
Well, it's been I wouldn't say great, but it's I think that we've got to cover enough athletes in the league for people to hear their stories and see, what the clubs are going on with, what they are going on with. Next season for sure we'll try to get everybody in the league, but I think you guys should tune into the JPL series. Some of these guys have some interesting stories. I like to capture the behind the scenes content so that you can actually appreciate what's going on the field. There's a lot, like for instance, Radika Wellington from Tivoli told me that he used to get a lot of red cards, cussing on the field, all sorts of stuff. And his son said to him, "Daddy, why you always cussing on the field?" And from that day forward, he never got another red card. So stories like that remind me why I'm doing this, because it's more than football. There's so much other things in it, and the JPL series encapsulates that and their stories. So you guys should check it out. There are 7 episodes out now. We have 2 more, one with Arnett and Mount Pleasant. So if you guys want to see that, please subscribe to the Sports Latte Talk Show on YouTube, as well as our Instagram, the Sports Latte. Daniel will be on the show as well. So you guys, Putting him on the spot. But yes, guys, it's interesting, it's fun, it's lighthearted, and that's what we want from the league. We want more people getting these stories out because I feel like these footballers deserve a lot more attention, um, than what they're getting just on the pitch. Off the pitch is just as important. So that's the reason for the sports Latin.
And you deserve to be getting more attention as well. Janae, thank you so much as always. And, we hope to talk to you very soon again.
No problem. Anytime, Daniel.
All right, that was Janae Robinson, founder of the Sports Latte and sports presenter, previewing the Jamaica Premier League final, reminding you that it happens this Sunday at Sabina Park at 7 p.m. The JPL has been a great supporter of Sports Talk here. So truly appreciate them. So go out on Sunday. Kickoff is at 7, as I mentioned. Let me just remind you of some of the ticket prices so that you'll be able to go. There is the Campari Party Stand and Children Under 12, both for 500. The George Headley Stand is 1,000. The North stands 1,200. And if you're feeling fancy, you can go in the VIP Comfort for $5,000. And remember that it is 2 games. So at 3 p.m., Harborview and Arnett will play in the third place playoff. So a whole lot of things in store. There should be performances, giveaways, a whole lot. So go out and support the Jamaica Premier League final on Sunday at Sabina Park. So we're going to go into our second break, and when we come back, we'll be discussing Lionel Messi's move to Inter Miami and the impact that it has in the region and the world. So stay with us.
Say hello to real fruit.
Say hello to no sugar added.
Say hello to delicious.
Say hello to Tropicana.
Naturally sweetened, no artificial coloring.
Now that's something I can get with.
Tropicana, here to make your day brighter. Tropicana, real fruit my way.
Real fruit my way, my way.
Are you a tourism worker? Then sign up for the Ministry of Tourism's innovative Tourism Workers Pension Scheme and retire in comfort. The time by the Ministry of Tourism is...
It's 1:32 right here on the Sound of Love.
Come with us as we explore.
What a way things are heat up. Woo-hoo. I mean, can't wait for the road this summer. Oh, yes, folks. Summer's hot, and so is the I Love Summer Road Tour. We are counting down the weeks to the minutes, even the seconds we are count. And we're making sure it will be fun galore. So catch your vibes and put on your fun face. I Love Summer is coming to take over the place. I Love Summer, coming to a town near you. This Jamaican summer going nice, you see. I Love 101 summer event.
I love it.
Welcome back to Sports Talk here on Love 101, the family station. As you heard before the break, we preview the Jamaica Premier League final. It is a football-based show because one of the world's biggest superstars, Lionel Messi, is heading to Miami. He will play for MLS club Inter Miami come July. It's gonna be crazy because, for example, the ticket prices already for Messi's arrival. Before his arrival, the cheapest ticket, which I saw online, was around like $5.10 US. That's because Inter Miami, they've been struggling in the league. They are literally bottom of the MLS. But since the announcement that he's coming to the MLS, the cheapest ticket to go to an Inter Miami home game is over $400 US. 400 US. I believe that is close to maybe over 60,000 Jamaican dollars. I don't remember the US to Jamaica dollar right now, but that's a lot of money to see Lionel Messi, but it is worth it. It is worth it. That is Lionel Messi. So his contract expires. Well, it has expired at PSG, spending 2 seasons there. Messi, even in an interview, saying that he was unhappy in Paris. This after leaving his essentially boyhood club Barcelona, where he spent over a decade and won title after title. There were talks that he could potentially go back to Barcelona, but Inter Miami, led by owner David Beckham, a former MLS star himself, getting the job done, and he will be in the MLS starting in July. So we're going to hear a discussion on that from CBS Sports Box to Box team, starting with Guillaume Balag, who kind of gave us some context as to how the Messi deal came about for Miami.
I'll take you back, say, 6 months ago, when it became clear that despite the fact that PSG and Leo Messi had reached an agreement in principle that was shaking hands in Qatar between Luis Campos and Jorge Messi, little by little it became clear that PSG will not be the destination, partly because the sporting project wasn't interesting enough. What, of course, PSG have to do now is reduce the wage list because financial fair play forces them to do so. And then the whistles and then the stories that started appearing in the press suggested that perhaps he wasn't going to continue. Once that became clear, Inter Miami and Saudi Arabia, of course, knocked the door. And what the response I had first to the offer from Inter Miami was that it was too complex. That's the message that was sent to Inter Miami from the Messi camp. Too complex. There's too many things moving. And that is because we are hearing, and I said, unconfirmed stories, but that perhaps he will get will co-own the club, or maybe we'll have a franchise in the future. Certainly one thing that's guaranteed is that Apple and Adidas and other big brands will be part of the deal, and we'll hear in the next few hours how that will work. Anyway, it was all too complex, and of course for Saudi Arabia it was $400 million cash. There was no complication there. After that, then Barcelona tried. You're right, they tried. But I will tell you that by the point that Jorge Messi and Laporta met in Laporta's house, despite the words from Jorge Messi, who felt a little bit attacked and followed certainly by journalists, he had to say what everybody wanted to hear in a way. He wasn't going to discuss the situation at that point. And he did say, Messi wants to come back to Barcelona. That was true. And when asked how will that happen or will that happen, he would say, I don't know. Because at that point in that 25-minute conversation between Jorge Messi and Laporta, it became very clear that Barcelona could not afford Leo Messi. They did not have the guarantees, better said, they did not have the guarantees that will make sure that Messi will be registered at the end of the market. And with that in hand, you cannot deal with anything. You're talking about the best player in the world. So Jorge Messi, who started the conversation with Laporta in positive terms, what is it that we can do, finished it, both of them, pessimistic. It's not going to happen, or it's difficult for it to happen, isn't it? And that's why Jorge Messi went. In the evening that same day, I can't remember when it was, 3 days ago, Jorge Messi comes out of a restaurant and feeling a little bit, I don't know, guilty because of the news that had come out of his conversation with the media after that meeting with Laporta. Just came out with the truth, which was, look, the conditions are not there for this to happen. It's difficult to happen, not to say impossible. I had reported for a while that it was impossible because following conversations with La Liga, it became clear that the situation of Barcelona was worse than in the last market. Worse. So in 2 years, Barcelona have not improved the financial situation. They're still in a difficult place. They could not get Messi. And then after that, yes, depending on the day, you were hearing things, but I spoken to Saudi Arabia. And I was told it's definitely happening. Inter Miami is definitely happening. Today, I got the right information and I went for it. And yeah, he's on his way to the MLS. Look at you.
Nice. We're happy. Guillaume, another question about Barcelona's financials, because they're very complicated and you're very close to it. let's say in a hypothetical scenario that Inter Miami doesn't make playoffs and Messi is without competitive football for a significant amount of months. We've seen Beckham make a loan move. We've seen Thierry Henry make a loan move back to Europe. Does that facilitate Barcelona possibly registering Messi if he comes to Barcelona off of a loan move?
Look, it's the first time I think about this, so I haven't had time to reflect on it. But if they cannot do it now, how do you want them to do it? I mean, you're talking when? In October, September?
Halfway through the season.
So, it's not going to happen because obviously the market is closer. But yes, if he's, I don't know, if there is a way for him to actually make it to an European team at that point. But in any case, Barcelona are going to use every single penny they've got to try to fit in not only the guys that have got a contract that hasn't been registered yet, like Gavi and Araujo and Peña and Marcos Alonso, etc., but to try to get players that improve the side, like Gundogan. So by the time that Messi will be available, there won't be any space for him. And Messi would have played for free. It's illegal. It cannot be done. But La Liga said perhaps you could put in your accounts 25 million euros. This is what the wages, logical wages for somebody like Messi, in the low ranks. So that's La Liga trying to help Barcelona. But even so, at that point, there's nothing to be negotiated. There's nothing to work on. There's no space for it. There is the possibility of bringing anybody else because, as I said, Barcelona, who had a rule up till now of 1-to-1, so you bring €1, you spend €1. Now they've gone to 40% of what they can, of what they save from players and wages. They can use only 40%. So it's becoming even harder for Barcelona to get some of the players that we're talking about. So I just don't see it. And also, this is very, very important. The situation of Leo Messi in the first few months in Paris can be described as traumatic. He really, really struggled. He was living in a hotel. Yeah. His kids, I saw them running around. Just basically, he wasn't happy. 1 hour to training with a lot of traffic. Wasn't happy. Got injured. Got COVID, bad COVID with an infection of his lungs. Really bad time. Doesn't want to go through that. He just wants the possibility of being in one place, everybody enjoying the process, and being in Miami for a while. We don't know how long yet. That will be also news that should come out at some point, perhaps when Messi talks.
Messi to Miami. What would this mean?
It would mean everything. It would be the most revolutionary signing in the history of MLS. There would be a clear before and after Messi arriving at Inter Miami for the league. This is a step and a half up from David Beckham signing for the Galaxy. What it would mean for Latinos, what it would mean for the city of Miami, what it would mean for the club. The club has been desperately looking to sign this type of star, and you have gone out per reports and said you're signing perhaps the biggest star in the history of the sport. So MLS is bending over backwards with stakes in Adidas, with stakes at the club, and trying to give Messi the best platform for him to say yes. And apparently, according to the report from Fabrizio Romano and Guillem Balaguer and many others, including in Argentina, they've been saying it since yesterday, Messi will say yes to Inter Miami, and that announcement is imminent in a couple of hours. Around 2 p.m. Eastern, we should expect Messi himself to make a statement on his next destination.
I love being next to you, Nico, when news like this is potentially about to break. But what is it like in Argentina? We understand also Miami must be going crazy right now. You can speak of that. But also in Argentina, I mean, what is the media coverage like? What is it like with the people there? What are they saying about this move?
It's around the clock in Argentina. People don't stop. Any channel that you turn on, that's the only thing that they're talking about. And there's other football. River plays tonight. Boca played yesterday. But no one is talking about those games. It's all about Messi and the moves and the curiosity of what this would mean for the league, because they understand that it would be revolutionary. And for Messi to arrive to Inter Miami, it is massive. And, it's not only affecting what Argentinians in Argentina would feel. In Miami, there's an enormous Argentinian colony. Enormous. Yeah. And clearly at this point, it's a lifestyle decision if Messi is to say yes, which we understand is imminent, right? Because there's $1 billion on the table to go to Saudi Arabia. The Barcelona opportunity seems not viable. They can't make it happen now. Let's remember that Thierry Henry went to Arsenal on loan as an MLS player, and David Beckham went to Milan on loan as an MLS player. So that door to Barcelona isn't completely shut, but he won't be exclusively a Barcelona player. I'm just thinking ahead because those were possibilities with two massive signings with the league, and Messi now has, Inter Miami has a golden ticket with Messi about to announce his arrival to the club, it seems.
And those were all on the table until just moments ago, and when all this news started to break here today, and we started to catch wind. So, Ian, when we talked about what this means for Major League Soccer, Nico, you mentioned the fact that this was already done almost 20 years ago now when David Beckham came over to the LA Galaxy, and at that time, unprecedented. This is in a different way. How does this differ or compare to the David Beckham move?
I'd like to thank you, Ali, for making me feel old now for what I'm about to say. I actually made my move to Major League Soccer in 2008, right after David Beckham arrived. And I'll be honest with you, because David Beckham made the decision to go to Major League Soccer, it made me, as a professional footballer who was playing in the Bundesliga at the time, want to go to Major League Soccer. Now, of course, I was born in the United States, so I always had that tendency.
You were born in the United States?
Yeah, you can't tell by the accent.
Really?
Of course, you never knew this
wow,
about me.
What a curveball. No, continue.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the 30th team in Major League Soccer will be San Diego, my hometown, just to throw it out there. No, listen, it's obviously got an impact tremendously. As Nico pointed out, obviously back in Argentina with their people after winning a World Cup, everyone's watching Messi regardless. Now in Miami, obviously Nico has already spoken on that. People are very excited, and I think they have been excited for maybe about a year now when the news of the potential of Messi coming to Major League Soccer and going to Miami was already out there. So people were already getting excited. I think what threw us all a curveball was this Saudi business dealing with big name players with big offers, and we just expected Messi to be yet again another name to go there. But he is already someone who has earned over 100 million every year pretty much of his career. So money may not be the most important decision for every footballer.
$1 billion
including Lionel Messi. But do you think he's getting a cheap offer coming to Miami? I don't think so.
There's still a lot of money involved in this, and really the ceiling is kind of unknown a bit with some of what's included in this with the Adidas profit sharing and Apple as well.
Look, I don't know how much those shares are going to be valued in 10 years time, 15 years time, 20 years time, but I don't think it can get close to the $1 billion that Saudi is offering on the table. Maybe, we don't know. We don't know how much the market is going to value itself, but the fact that he did leave that $1 million to the side for a lifestyle change, for a team that's last in the Eastern Conference and MLS means a lot. The feeling is that Messi really wanted Barcelona, and Barca must feel some levels of incompetence.
A full highlight there, full analysis of Lionel Messi's move to Inter Miami from PSG. It is going to be an interesting watch in the MLS, and as Nico had pointed out, this feels even bigger than when David Beckham had moved, because Messi is arguably one of the greatest players of all time, not just in football, but in sports in general. We'll stick with football after the break because Portuguese giants Benfica will be hosting a camp in Jamaica in July, and we'll hear more about that right after this break.
Stay fully connected with Flow Yard and Road, the home internet and mobile plan to keep up with your life. Sign up today and get fiber fast internet at home and unlimited YouTube, social, talk and text on your mobile for just $4,999 plus GCT. And get a Samsung tablet or phone now for only $499 plus GCT. Flow Yard and Road. Stay fully connected. Visit the Flow store to sign up today. Conditions apply.
Every time my son send the liquor barrel for me, I have to go sit down and waff all day like me have nothing else to do. No, sir, me not fear do this.
Tired of spending all day at the wharf to clear your barrel?
Driver, turn up that the little bit for me there.
Starting May 1, use contactless clearance to clear your non-commercial shipments and avoid the long wait. Call Jamaica Customs today at 876-922-51408 or email contactlessclearance@jca.gov.jm.
But God goody, me I go call customs and learn about the contactless clearance. Hook me up.
Less waiting, more convenience. Try Customs contactless clearance today.
Welcome back to Sports Talk here on Love 101, the family station. We have less than 10 minutes to go. Let me just read some of these comments quickly. Mary James saying good afternoon, and Pauline saying, Mount Pleasant wants to prove a point. Since Tapa was in charge of national football and now Speed being a representative of the JFF, it is going to be hot. It certainly will. That is the JPL final on Sunday at Sabina Park. Speaking of Sabina Park, Benfica, Portuguese giants who have produced some of the world's best talents over the last 2 decades. They will be hosting a camp there in July for a lot of Jamaican youngsters. And the project is being partly organized by the Sports Innovators Group, SIG. And joining us, we have Talent and Technical Services Officer, and just for clarity, a good brethren of mine, Renardo Brown. Renardo, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me, Daniel. It's great being a part of the family station.
Always. So firstly, tell me about the relationship between SIG and Benfica. How did that come about?
So Sports Innovators Group has been around for several years. You think about the Caribbean Premier League and the games being held here in Jamaica up from 2013 until about 2019. And SIG has been at the forefront of that, being the organizers for the Jamaica Lega Games over the years. So you're not talking about a sports agency or a sports management company that we don't know what we're doing. The relationship with SL Benfica came through a partnership that we have with Nexus Global and the Driftwood Dreams out of Barbados. Now, the first camp was held in Barbados, and SL Benfica, in their big wisdom and wanting to develop sport more across the world and expanding their scouting network, thought that they would want to get into different countries around the world. And that is how the partnership developed with the Driftwood Dreams. And we said that, hey, if you're going to Barbados, you're looking to go to Trinidad, then I think if you're in the Caribbean, the only place that you would really want to be is Jamaica. And that is how the discussion began.
Yeah, so the camp is going to be held in July, and a lot of our young stars here in Jamaica will be involved. Just tell us some of the finer details in terms of which age bracket will be allowed to compete and to be a part of the camp, any fees involved, that type of thing.
All right, so the first thing, the fee is $300, and that's for all 6 days of the camp. Of course, you get refreshments, you get the official Benfica kit, and we're also allowing 10 local coaches at the cost of $100 to be a part of the camp. Now, the camp is July 3 to 8 at Sabina Park, as you said. So registration is ongoing. It was opened on May 1 and it continues. SL Benfica wants about 100 Jamaican kids, ages 6 to 17, boys and girls. Now, over the years, we've had several different camps: Valencia, Barcelona, Real Madrid, different European clubs coming to Jamaica to conduct camps. And at the end of those camps, they generally take, let's say, the best player or the best 2 players from the camp back to Barcelona or Real Madrid for a training stint. Now, that's not the same for SL Benfica, because if you think back to those camps, if you have an agreement that you have to take 1 or 2 players, then whether they're good or not, you are going to take 1 or 2 players. So generally, when those kids go away, they tend to come back to Jamaica and they don't get into the academies. And we're not looking into why is it that this generally happens. Now, SL Benfica, they're saying that we're not about coming and keeping a camp, and then we're saying that we're going to take the top player from the camp, top boy, top girl from the camp, and take them back to SL Benfica. No, what we want to do is that we want to introduce our methodology. We want to introduce the training program and the development program that has led to us being named the top sports academy, football academy in the world by Sports Globe in 2019. So they want to teach their methodology so that the kids can develop on their own. The coaches who will be a part of the camp can now implement this or versions of this into their training program, into their academies, that when it gets to 2 years, 3 years down the line, that SL Benfica would know that there are kids in Jamaica that already know the SL Benfica way. That makes scouting a little bit easier for SL Benfica. So that's what they're aiming for. That's the mood. Now, David Gomez, who is the head of the academy program at SL Benfica, said that they are aware that in the coming years, talent out of Portugal will not be there because, one, you have different academies around Europe who are developing, which makes the talent in Europe even more and more competitive in getting those talents by the different clubs. So they're going into these countries, they're identifying the talents from ages 6 up to 17, and they want to develop those talents in their own country. Now, if it is that there's a player or two who are very good who can be a part of the SL Benfica camp, based on FIFA rules, they can't take them until they're age 18, but at least they would have been seeing them, watching them develop over the years. And we have a 3-year agreement with Nexus Global in having the camp. So we'll be tracking SL Benfica, we'll be tracking these players over the coming years.
Yeah, we just have around 2 minutes to go. If any parent, guardian, or as you mentioned, coach is listening out there, how do they get in contact with SIG to be a part of this amazing camp?
So to be a part of the camp, you can go to sportsinnovatorsgroup.com/Benfica and you can register for the camp. You can also contact me directly at 876-841-2913. I'm ready to take your call, but most importantly, sportsinnovatorsgroup.com/Benfica, and you can go there and you can register. One of the things I'm seeing quickly, Daniel, is that we do understand that we have several football camps happening this summer. In fact, based on memory, we have about 4 running in the same week as the SL Benfica camp, but these are local camps. Now, we're trying to work with the academy coaches and we're trying to work with these club teams to understand that, hey, this is a massive opportunity for our youngsters. It's 1 week. You have your academy. We're not taking away your kids. We just have 1 week for them to impress these coaches from Benfica who are coming down to conduct the camp, with the possibility of, developing, maybe getting to Benfica in a few years' time, or even in a year or 2. So that's what we're talking about. Working with these academies, allowing these kids to come and be a part of the camp. And it should be fun. It should be engaging. And I'm looking forward to it, especially given that Benfica, they've won the Portugal League again.
Yes, and they have sold many players over the year for multi-million dollars. So it would be great to see a Jamaican joining that bracket very soon. Renardo, thank you so much for joining me. Truly appreciated you being here. And hopefully after the camp, we can talk again to see how it went.
Sure. I stand ready. Whenever you call, I will answer. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Renardo, thank you so much. Talent and technical services offer at officer, at Sports Innovators Group, Renardo Brown, telling us about the Benfica camp happening in July right here at Sabina Park. So if you have a young son or even daughter, or if you know of anyone who wants to be part of the camp, this is a great opportunity for them. That's all the time that we have here on Sports Talk. We truly appreciate you taking your time out on this Saturday to tune in. Remember, Sports Talk happens every Saturday afternoon right here on Love 101, the family station from 1 to 2 p.m. And it is brought to you by Jamaica Customs Agency, country above self. The UEFA Champions League final between Manchester City and Inter Milan, which we previewed last week, starts in just a few moments. So go out and watch that, and we'll talk about that next week. But until then, please enjoy your weekend, stay safe, and watch some sports.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Sports Talk right here in Love 101 with Daniel Blake. Yeah, lots of information. And of course, if you have any children that are interested in football, that Benfica camp sounds quite interesting. $300. You can do the calculations and make sure that you latch on to that very, very, very important opportunity. The time on Love is 2 o'clock. We're gonna take a break right here. We'll be back with more. This is Love 101, the family station.
What a way things are heat up. Woo-hoo.